8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Malwarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. Sluice gates of several reservoirs have been opened. People living in the close proximity of flood-prone areas should be vigilant. The opposition leader says new laws should be introduced prohibiting politicians from holding posts in cricket clubs. Farmers to receive the concessionary payments tomorrow to purchase fertilizer. Sri Lanka incurs an annual loss about 220 billion rupees owing to crop damage caused by animals. News overseas, BBC sees damage from blast at Gaza refugee camp. In sports, Virat Kohli equals the record of great Sachin Tendulkar after hitting his 49th one-day international century today. And those are the headlines. Our provincial correspondents say that several medium and large-scale tanks in Anuradhapura are overflowing due to the prevailing heavy rain conditions. 8 sluice gates of Rajangane Reservoir have been opened. A water flow of 10,850 cubic feet per second is released to Kalaoya. 2 sluice gates of the Angamur Reservoir are open at present. People living in the low-lying areas of the Kalaoya and Mioya river basins are advised to be vigilant on the rising water levels. 8 sluice gates of the Udawalawe Reservoir have been opened, releasing 7,000 cubic feet of water per second to the Walawa River. Due to heavy rains in the area, furthermore, 5 spill gates of the Deduroya Reservoir have also been opened. The Department of Irrigation said people living in low-lying areas must remain vigilant as water levels of the Walawa and Deduroya are rising rapidly. It has been also issued an extension of an amber flood warning for the river basin of Nilwala Ganga and Attanagalu Oya for an additional 24 hours. Leader of the opposition Sajid Premadasa says new laws should be introduced prohibiting politicians from holding posts even in cricket clubs as an important step to resolve Sri Lanka's cricket crisis. Sri Lanka will suffer a similar fate to the West Indies if no proper action is taken to resolve the crisis. West Indies became the world champions in 1975 and in 1979, and they were runners-up in 1983. However, West Indies have been able to qualify or have not been able to qualify for the World Cup tournament this year. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Ministry of Agriculture announces the concessionary payments for the purchase of fertilizer for this Maha season will be credited to the bank accounts of the farmers tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Welfare Benefits Board's member, Kamal Padmasri, says that the Aswesama Special Week will commence tomorrow, focusing on regularizing the benefit program and addressing existing issues. He added that the application for the second round of Aswesama will begin in January. The first round of payments will be completed by December. Kamal Padmasri also announced that the Aswesama beneficiaries will receive their September payments by the 15th of November and October payments will be made at the end of November. In response to the recent surge in prices of essential commodities, the All Ceylon Restaurant and Restaurant Owners Association has decided to raise the prices of certain food items effective from today. Harshana Rukshan, president of the All Ceylon Restaurant and Restaurant Owners Association, stated that the rise in the cost of sugar has led to an increase of 5 rupees of the price of tea, and while milk tea will see a price hike of 10 rupees. Besides, the prices of rice, vegetables, chicken, meat and onions have experienced a noticeable increase, prompting a 20 rupee rise in the price of a packet of rice. Similarly, the prices of kottu and fried rice will also be increased by 20 rupees, he said. A 37-year-old woman who was inside a fruit store died due to an earth mound collapsing on the store due to a bad weather condition in the Rambukwala area of Kandy Mayangana Road in Teldenia last night. The police said the victim is the owner of the fruit store. The police, with the help of the local residents, found the woman buried in the mound and admitted her to the Teldenia hospital where she died. The deceased was a resident of Rambukwala area. The Miriana Special Crimes Investigation Unit has launched an investigation to arrest a couple who are owners of the contract company named D-Mark Solution Private Limited in connection with the fraudulent transaction amounting to 9.9 million rupees. Police said the suspects had received this amount from a private company for the renovation of the building and a garden in the Bathurumala area. However, the suspects had failed to complete the renovation as promised. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Sri Lanka incurs an annual loss between 17 to 20 billion rupees owing to crop damage caused by animals. This was revealed according to a survey carried out by the Ectecobag Agrarian Research and Training Institute. Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amarabira, who expressed this, also pointed out that more than 31,000 metric tons of vegetables and fruits harvest is lost each year due to damage by wild animals. Nevertheless, the minister claimed that all strategies implemented so far in order to prevent crop damage from wild animals have failed. In addition, it is also stated that the amount of coconuts destroyed by monkeys during the last year exceeds 200 million. And that's top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Moving on to watch slide, the Sri Lanka College of Endocrinologists say that more than 23% of Sri Lankan population is having diabetes at present. Chairman of the association, Dimuthu Muthukuda, says that another 30% is suffering with early diabetes situations. She said that when compared to other Asian countries, Sri Lanka is in high risk. There are many school children and teenagers are having diabetes at present. And moving on to world news headlines, BBC sees damage from a blast at Gaza refugee camp. Pentagon acknowledges a flying unarmed drones over Gaza. 4-year-olds hostage held on tarmac in Hamburg airport. And those are the headlines of the world news. The BBC's Rushdi Abuluf has been to a refugee camp in Gaza where the Hamas-run health ministry says an Israeli airstrike killed 45 people. Correspondent says the Maghazi camp is in the area where Israel advised people in the northern strip to evacuate to. He says the 50 bodies have been recovered from the rubble of the destroyed buildings. The US has confirmed for the first time that it has been flying unarmed surveillance drones over Gaza. Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Pat Ryder said the drones were operating in support of hostage recovery efforts. These UAV flights began after October 7 attack by Hamas on Israel, he said in a brief statement. Police in Germany are dealing with a hostage situation in Hamburg airport after an armed man drove through a security barrier and onto a tarmac. It is understood that the man, 35, and a child 4 remain in the vehicle, which is parked under a plane. Officers are in contact with the driver who entered the airport on Saturday evening. The airport has been closed and all flights indefinitely suspended. And that's world news. Development news. Education Minister Susi Premchandra says the whole education system will be digitalized by next year and all measures relating to process are being taken now. Participating in a ceremony at DS Senanayaka College, the minister said all funding facilities are being received now and relevant measures are being taken now. And that's development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Virat Kohli equalled the record of a fellow Indian great Sachin Tendulkar after hitting his 49th one-day international century in a World Cup match against South Africa in Kolkata today. Kohli on his 35th birthday hit 101 from 121 balls to send the crowd at a packed Eden Gardens into a frenzy. Tendulkar reached the milestone in 451 innings and 462 matches, which it has taken Kohli 277 innings and 289 ODIs. Kohli's superb knock helped India post 326 for 5 from 50 overs. And that was sports news.
Go ekathiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karana youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithumitru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The government has set a maximum retail price for a kilogram of sugar. Accordingly, packaged white sugar 295 rupees per kilo and unpacked sugar is 275 rupees per kilo. Brown sugar packaged in is 350 rupees per kilo and unpacked is 330 rupees per kilo. The Consumer Affairs Authority says traders who sell sugar at high prices will be brought to book. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithumitru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce yesterday raised concerns regarding the proposed increase of the value-added tax to 18%. While recognizing the government's commitment to revenue enhancement in alignment with International Monetary Fund obligations, the Ceylon Chamber said it is imperative to evaluate the broader economic ramification of such a decision. The current economic landscape, characterized by escalating income taxes, elevated electricity tariffs and rise in fuel prices, suggests that an additional VAT increment will further strain consumers, they said. And that was economic news. Weather report. The Met Department says it has issued an amber weather advisory for severe lightning in 6 provinces in the late hours today. According to the forecast, thundershowers accompanied by severe lightning are likely to occur at several places in western, central, sub-Brahman, north, central, northwestern and southern provinces during the evening or night. In addition, there may be temporary localized strong winds during thundershowers. And that was with the report. And to wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. Sluice gates of several reservoirs have been opened. People living in close proximity of flood-prone areas should be vigilant. The opposition leader says new laws should be introduced prohibiting politicians from holding posts in cricket clubs. Farmers will receive concessionary payments tomorrow to purchase fertilizer. Sri Lanka incurs an annual loss about 20 billion rupees owing to crop damage caused by animals. News overseas, BBC sees damage from blast at Gaza refugee camp. In sports, Virat Kohli equals the record of great Sachin Tendulkar after hitting his 49th one-day international century today. And with that, we conclude the evening news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Back to Mario Vijayawardena to keep you company with the rest of the programs this Sunday evening.
Thank you so much, Yoga. Thank you for the news. Here's wishing you a safe journey home. That was Jay Yogaraj with your news on Radio Sri Lanka.